So keep watching if you want to know how I'm going to arrange some daffodils and some leeks and exactly what I'm trying to interpret. Croeso y Gymru. Good morning and welcome to Wales. Now on March the 1st, which is St David's Day, a day that all Welsh people celebrate their patron saint, our culture and our heritage. The inspiration has come from our national flower, which is the daffodil. And if you don't already know, we have the leek as another of our national emblem. And you'll often see young children attending school either wearing a small leek, often an artificial version, or a fresh daffodil on their lapel, as well as their Welsh costumes. And you'll find lots of Welsh people, not just in Wales, celebrating with concerts or parties or different events on March the 1st to celebrate our national day, St David's Day. Now I could of course take an inspiration from Welsh clothing or maybe some Welsh songs or traditional dance, but I thought the daffodil for me is really the epitome of Welsh culture. And we're filming in February, so just before St David's Day, so it's a really good time to be able to use this delightful, bright and cheerful yellow flower. So one of our sayings from our patron saint is to do the little things in life. And I think that really sums up flower arranging and floristry. We can do the little things in life by just choosing some small flowers from the garden or supermarket flowers like I've got here today and create a fantastic design. So let's get started. Right, now I've got a green basket container, so a couple of inches in depth. Thought the colour would link really well with my leeks. I've got some twisted willow, which will give a bit of movement into the design. And I've got two different types of daffodils. So we've got the really pretty little narcissi, which have a delightful scent to them as well. And I've got some birch. Now you might be fed up of me using birch, but I always think seasonal, it's available if you go out for a walk. You can pick it up sometimes in bunches in your supermarket, and it gives a lovely textural quality to your design and creates that up and down movement that is really important in flower arranging. I'm going to start with the leeks. And I'm almost going to do a parallel style arrangement. So if you haven't done parallel styles before, this is a good time to look back at the Back to Basics series, and I'll link it in the cards just here so you can go back and have a look. I believe I've done two parallel arrangements before, and you almost have to throw away some of the rules regarding space within floral design that I've taught you in previous videos, because in a parallel design, there should be very prominent gaps between the flowers. But you will find that if you look at parallel designs from different designers and different parts of the world, they're interpreted very differently. So I'm almost doing a British version of the parallel design, so I won't have such quite big gaps between the flowers as you might have seen in previous videos or from books or magazines that you might have looked at in the past. So this week we're arranging with floral foam. And I've used a block, just over a block in there. I've almost filled the container with foam. And what I'll do at the end is I'm just going to cover that in some ordinary moss. So it's reminiscent of the moorlands here in Wales and the hillsides. And it's quite an organic material that I think works better with this design. I'm not going to overfill the bottom section with foliage because I think we're going to lose the shape and the style of the arrangement that I'm going to create. So that means that my floral foam is below the level of my container, which means I don't have any place to put any side materials in. So everything is going to be going upwards. If you think of all those skyscrapers, all very close together, all tall and narrow and straight, then this arrangement is almost arranged, inspired by that sort of placement of the buildings, and hopefully that will make more sense to you when it's finished. It's going to be a front-facing design, so seen from one side, although it would quite easily be done as an all-round arrangement. Okay, so I'm going to start with my tallest material first, and that is going to be my leeks. So my leeks are going to be the back part of my design. And what you can see here, on the base of the leeks, I've used kebab sticks, and I've just stuck the pointed part of the kebab stick into the bottom of the leek. I'm going to cut them a bit shorter. And that means that when I'm arranging them, I'm going to place the kebab sticks into the foam. I don't need to wedge the whole piece of the leek into the foam itself. And you might have noticed I'm just trying to straighten the leeks out a little bit so they're not bending one way or the other. Now I would like to have had 3 leeks that were different heights, but it was a bit difficult to find them. So I'm just going to cut a little bit off the top of this leek so that the leeks are 2 different sizes. And like traditional flower arranging, I'm stepping them down in height so that my eye is being drawn down towards the front. So let's just get that one into position and I can turn it around for you to see. So parallel, vertical placements straight into the floral foam. I'm not angling them out in that radial style. I'm keeping them very straight and parallel alongside one another. And then with my 3rd leek, rather than cluster it all here in one position, so we've got all that colour and texture on one side, I'm going to cut one shorter and bring it onto the opposite side of the design. So I'm almost going to abandon that method with the kebab stick on the bottom. I'm just going to cut the base off and redo it. So you can see there I've just inserted 2 kebab sticks into the base, and if you don't have kebab sticks you could just use some stems of a woody foliage. You could use the bottom of the birch or cocktail sticks even. And now what I've got is that colour and texture on both sides of the arrangement, but I'm blocking and grouping them together. So we have a more modern approach to the way we're arranging the flowers. Now I'm going to go with the birch, and again I'm going to group the birch all together just here at the back so that we have those parallel placements again. And by parallel I mean that the space between the bottom and the top is equidistant, and if you think about railway lines, they are the same distance apart all the way down the track. If you think of street lights, tall and parallel on the road, they are the same distance apart from top to bottom, and that's what I mean by parallel. So in traditional flower arranging you have 2 methods. You have radial placements, which is the designs we've done many of in the past, and you radiate everything out from the centre point, and then you have this style of arranging which is called parallel placements. And you'll see that I've now got a variety of textures, I've got contrasting colours, I've got a link between the top and the bottom, which is important in floral design. And at the moment, no flowers in there at all, but lots of interesting material. Now next I'm going to use the smaller of the little narcissi. So this could be a tete-a-tete variety. These ones are supermarket flowers. So again, I'm trying to do lots of arrangements with supermarket flowers so that you're able to copy them at home. And what I'm going to do with these is, in that same parallel placement, I'm going to add them alongside the leeks, just onto my right hand side. Now parallel arrangements came to us in the 80s, so they were classed as a modern design back in the 80s, and they were very much inspired by European floral design. And you would have had big gaps in between the placements. There would have been clear space and then groupings of the various materials. But the design has evolved over the years, and because of the British style of arranging, we tend to arrange the parallel design much closer together. So if you think about your gardens where you have a herbaceous border, maybe you have delphiniums and then lupins coming up, you have them in groups and clusters in your garden. This is a similar type of style, so everything is arranged very closely together. Now I'm going to add these in just a moment, but I'm going to put them to one side for a minute. Just slightly rearrange the heads so they're facing forward and you can appreciate the colour. And you'll see that what I've done with the other bunch of daffodils, now this could be any variety. These are Welsh daffodils, they've come from the Pembrokeshire area. I've bunched them together. The heads are fairly facing forward because it's a design that you're going to look at from one side. I've left the elastic band on, so this is pretty much how they came from the supermarket. I used some decorative raffia to hide the elastic band, but it gives me some interest, a variety in texture again and colour, and it's going to give me some support. So when I insert the daffodils into the foam, if you haven't already used daffodils in flower arranging, the stem ends are very soft. They're not great lovers of floral foam. They much prefer to be in a vase with clean water. But because I've got them grouped together, I'm going to have more rigidity, more strength to insert it into the foam. And what I'm going to do with these is, I'm just going to slide that up slightly. And I'm going to take a centimetre or so off the bottom, because I don't need them quite this tall. And you get almost that topiary style of arranging, so that solid stem being shown and then that big cluster of flowers on the top. And then what I'm going to do is, fingers crossed, I'm going to insert that all together at the same time into the front, so we've got that real big emphasis of those daffodils there in the front. And then we have the heights working their way down towards the front. We have a variety of head sizes, a variety of textures and colours. So we're still complying with those elements and principles of design, but we're doing it in a different style and a different method. Then for my other little narcissi, they're going to go much shorter and more towards the front. So these ones are being brought towards the front in a much shorter style, so closer to my floral foam. But again, it's going to make your eye step down and work its way towards the base. But you'll see that the stems are parallel to one another. So they're straight and looking towards the ceiling. They're not perfect, but it's going to give you a really striking design that's going to be great for St. David's Day. At the moment, my floral foam is still very much visible. You possibly can't see it on the camera because you're not looking at it from the same angle as me. But what I'm going to do there is just to use the moss to cover the foam. But before I do that, I'm going to add in some willow, and I've got some twisted willow this time. And that's going to bring in a bit of movement and a bit of softness. Now the willow I'm using isn't quite as straight and as structured as the other materials that I've got in the design. But it's such a beautiful material. Still straight, still making your eye follow from top to bottom, but not as rigid and as structured as the design is so far. So this is where I'm not technically following those rigid rules of the parallel design. I'm adding a bit of a Sharon Dower twist to it. So I'm softening the structure, but still making my eye travel up and down. And I'm going to do a few at the front as well on this side. So we've got some of that texture on both sides. I'm not going to use that one because, again, sending my eye off in two different directions. I'm looking for ones that are still quite straight. And this is what we would call a relaxed line. So the Leeks are very regimented, very formal. They're almost like soldiers in a line. And this has a more relaxed movement to it. Still makes your eye travel up and down. So we still refer to it as a line material, but it's much softer. Now I'm going to add it here at the side. I don't want to overfill it and lose the colouring of the birch that's at the back. But what do we think so far? Is that something that you could do at home? Now it doesn't have to be daffodils. I'm obviously doing this for St. David's Day, but you could still cluster those flowers together into groupings. It looks really good with alstroemeria, which is quite a difficult flower to arrange. But I'm really liking that so far. And at this stage, it's just a case now of adding some of the moss to the base, and I'm pretty much finished. If you didn't have moss, you could use pebbles or stones. You could put some bark or gravel there at the bottom, or you could add in some small pieces of foliage just to cover the foam. But I don't want to make it too fussy and overfill it at this stage. Okay, so just flat pieces of moss, that's going to sit in there really nicely. It's going to act as a neat and tidy finish for my design, and it's also going to stop that floral foam dehydrating, which is of course really, really important. And if you're new to flower arranging and you haven't been here before, my name is Sharon, so welcome to my channel. I started off with some basic floral design, so if you're learning and you're new, then pop back and have a look at the Back to Basics series because there's lots of information on there. Hopefully we're going to do some live events as well, so if you're keen to watch a live floral design, then please put in the comment box below what you would like to see and what you would like to learn. Thinking maybe we might do the first live event and do some Easter design, so that's my original thoughts. Please put a comment in the box below. If you have any questions to ask, let me know. And don't forget to like and subscribe because that does really help other people find the channel. There we are, what do we think? That's my interpretive sort of design for St David's Day. We've got our two national emblems in there with the daffodil and the leek. Thank you very much for watching. So diolch yn fawr. See you again very soon. Thanks for watching.